Let's get ready to rumble!
Wilder doesn't have a garbage resume. It's not his resume. His resume is no different to Tyson Fury's or Joshua's, apart from the Klitschko wins. Dominic Breazeale, Dillian Whyte, Eric Molina, their common opponent, Kingpin Johnson, are no better than Malik Scott, Spiltzka, Washington, Lajkovic, Du Harpers, Stavern, etc., etc. It's roughly even. Could even make a case for Wilder fighting more better opponents than the two of them. You could. Tyson Fury, take Klitschko out, then you got 2 victories over Derek Chisora, Kingpin Johnson, Steve Cunningham. The only difference between Wilder and the other guys is the infrastructure and opportunities. Eddie Hearn is doing a good job with Sky and Matchroom right now. He was able to sell the British title fight with White as pay-per-view. Molina and Breazeale were all pay-per-views. In America, that would be PBC standard type of fights, in all truth. Got to be honest, British fans. Got to be honest, American fans. Let's be rational and calm. Let's go through this. Klitschko didn't come to the UK because he had to challenge himself against the great Anthony Joshua resume. He came to the UK because of the setup, the infrastructure, the enthusiasm that the fans generate at Eddie Hearn events. It is something to behold. Joshua deserves his credit too. Don't get that twisted at all. It's not so much the resume, it's when you compare his results of common opponents to how other people dealt with them. Compare his result with Molina to Wilder's. Compare his result with Breazeale to Mansour, and what Breazeale went on to do with Ngannou. And 18 victories, 18 KOs. So, the combination of stuff. Great promoter, a fighter who perhaps is approaching greatness, and great crowds. Some people say the best in the world. A lot of people outside the UK say best in the world. And who am I to argue? Here are some of the mistakes I think Wilder made. Petkin, when he got busted, they tried to salvage their training camp, the finances and the effort they put into that training camp. So they took on Areola to salvage the camp and salvage some money. But in all truth, they may have been better off just scrapping the camp. They may have been better off doing that. I've been in business. Sometimes you've got to take the hit and walk away. Areola shouldn't have been fighting for the championship, but the fight went ahead anyway, and was it a pectoral injury? And broke his hand. And then he had to ease himself back in. Hence Gerald Washington. Now, hindsight is always 20/20, apparently. When the other Eastern European got popped, Warzik, I think his name was, the window of opportunity opened up for Ortiz, but they felt it was too short notice to take on a drug cheat. I didn't like that reasoning at all. Neither did Natty Turner. He should have just said, look, man, I don't know how these injuries are healed up. I need to go down the scale, test the injuries against someone less formidable, and come back harder. And my opinion is, and it always has been before this Joshua and Wilder debate, is he should have took the Ortiz fight. I feel if you're ready to go back in the ring and defend your title, you're ready to defend against the best. At the time, I kind of saw with the Areola thing and salvaging some money and salvaging the camp and the event, I kind of saw with that. But then when we got to Washington, we're approaching a condition of stagnation now. That's what we're doing. And then the Stavern thing, just whew. You've beat the guy convincingly already. Nobody wants to see it. And I just wish Stavern would just take the step aside money. But he won't do it. He won't do it. You can't blame that on AJ. They both got to sort out their mandatory situation. That's not AJ or Eddie Hearn's fault. There's a lot of politics that's going to go forth before Wilder gets back in the ring and Joshua gets back in the ring, and Klitschko and Ortiz and litigations with Stavern. There's a lot to sort out. So I think it's a bit harsh when people are throwing it out there. Joshua's just ducking Wilder. It's not really as simple as that right now, is it? It really isn't. It really isn't. And you've got to look at Al Heyman and Lou DiBella. They're not being vocal for Wilder and an Anthony Joshua fight. They're not. You can go look it up. Lou DiBella in February said that Joshua versus Wilder is not a pay-per-view fight. It's not a big selling fight. He might have changed his tune now, though. But no. You know, when he said that in February, I believe he was playing a little risk-reward, picking his punches and picking his options. That's what he was doing. I mean, Al Heyman, we know, he doesn't talk at all. But Eddie Hearn would have let us know, or it would have got leaked if Al Heyman was trying to negotiate something between Wilder and Joshua. Something would have got leaked. And nobody has asked, does Al Heyman or Lou DiBella want that fight right now? For a few reasons. Like, let's not sell Wilder totally valueless on the market. That's a WBC belt. Heyman does have a jewel in the crown. He just doesn't want to give it away without being able to leverage something either. It took Al Heyman an age to draft up the contract for Wilder and Stavern. An absolute age. That's why the fight took so long to happen. Do you remember? So I understand no one wants to hear that boxing is a business, but that's what we got to go through in the next few months is litigation, certain clauses, who's going to take step-aside money, who's going to get their mandatories fulfilled, and a whole load of stuff. This is for the suits in the boardroom right now. That's where the fight is. You see, in my opinion, right, the Petkin fight was supposed to be Wilder's breakout fight. That's what it was supposed to be. Travel to Russia, knock out this guy that they were saying Wilder was going to vacate the belt because Petkin was so feared, you know. But Wilder got his passport stamped, signed, sealed, delivered, and he was over there. Petkin never wanted to fight Wilder, in my opinion. He did what he did. Now, in hindsight, they should have stayed on course to get that breakout fight. They should have cut their losses on that camp. I said, okay, you're fit, just keep ticking over. We'll get the next highest ranked guy or someone that the general consensus will say is dangerous. That no one can say he's cherry picking or anything. We take him on and we shut a few mouths. They should have stayed on that path there. That's my opinion. Lesson learned. Tomorrow never comes. Never go backwards. Never go backwards. You see, I don't care what nobody wants to say. Yeah, you have to be very patient. If you're a promoter, a boxer, or anything, you got to be patient. You got to think. One move, it's done. I'm not just talking about in the ring, where you think a scenario like that is obvious, make the wrong move. No, I keep telling people, strategizing careers, matchmaking, having people who know in your corner when you should take a fight from when you shouldn't, is not a joke. It's not something to fuck around with. It really isn't. Jose Sullivan, he says he wants to see Wilder and Joshua. And Black Fight Fan, he said, I would like 3% of Anthony Joshua's purse too. Very cynical, but very true. And Dylan Gallagher, he followed up, as most here are saying it's all about the sanctioning fee. Everyone in the comment section was saying, yeah, it's for the sanctioning fee. Ryan Oros, he says, hell yeah, they want some of that purse and they wouldn't mind AJ beating Wilder and becoming their new champ. Imagine the money AJ could bring in for them for future fights. Yeah, of course. Jamie October, he said it's partly about sanctioning fees, and that was the general consensus, sanction fees. So we can see his motives. It would be nice to know Al Heyman's take, but Al plays his cards very close to his chest. It really would. It would. But I'm here to tell you this. I want to see Wilder and Joshua, but I'm going to be honest with you. I can't choose between Joshua and Fury or Wilder and Joshua. I can't. Now, you guys are going to say, oh, you're scared, trying to put Joshua in the witness protection. But the thing is, worldwide, people think Fury is a better fighter than Wilder. Generally, they do. And I'm here to tell you this now. Yeah? Living in the UK, and I don't care what you want to say about protection. I don't protect no fighter. But I'm going to tell you this with no chaser, no sweetener. Joshua versus Wilder is nowhere near the fight that Joshua versus Fury is in the UK. Nowhere near. And there's not a British boxing fan who will tell you any different on this page, even if they hate my guts. You're pitting two unbeatens, one boxer, puncher, beautiful chemistry. Frank Warren versus Eddie Hearn. Because Klitschko done 90,000. I don't know where they're actually going to put it. How much can Cardiff hold? I don't know where they're going to put this. It will be at least a £25 pay-per-view. You won't be getting away with £20 on this one. Biggest fight in British boxing history. And this is what I was telling you guys about self-sustainability. I know you guys think the Wilder fight is big, and I want to see it too. But over here, it's not as big as Fury Joshua. It just isn't. Back to the self-sustainability argument. We love domestic boxing out here. It's our shit. I'm telling you, man. Back in the 40s, they used to talk about Arthur Danaher and Eric Boone and their classic fights. British level fights. And they go mad about it. They go absolutely mad. Len Harvey versus Freddie Mills. 55,000 at White Hart Lane. Len Harvey versus Jack McAvoy. I'm doing this all off the top of my head, right? 90,000 at White City, West London. His fights against Jack Peterson, 90,000. These are domestic. These are not world title fights. They're domestic level fights. Bugner, Cooper, big, massive fights over here. Domestic level fights. That's why you've never really heard people saying, British boxing is going down the tubes. Because we've always set more, I'm not going to say a realistic bar, but a bar realistic to the capabilities of our fighters. So the consumer and the public were happy with British title fights. Southern area title fights used to be massive. Midland area title fights and all of that stuff. Big. They'd get the hat, throw the nobbins in the ring, and just a big night of boxing, like all around the country. All around the country. In America, your bar was set with Muhammad Ali, Ray Leonard, Joe Louis, Marciano, Dempsey, and it's been like that since Sullivan Corbett fight, to be honest with you. When I think about it, it's always been like that. It's only now you've tailed off a little. So your bar of expectation is that much higher. So you guys can't understand how Joshua and Fury is bigger than Wilder and Joshua over here. But it just is. It just is. It's just way bigger. Way bigger. Not even a little bit bigger. Way bigger. And that's the truth. The press wasn't forcing Michael Watson or Ben or Eubank to go to America when they had their trilogy between them. No, okay, just keep that going. You're going to put fights on like this. Just keep doing that. Free television, ITV, terrestrial, keep serving that up. It's not until their careers finished, people saying, well, how come you didn't go and fight Roy Jones and James Toney and this, that, and that? That was after. For the most part, that was after. A few people asked about it while they were active, but for the most part, that was an afterthought. Ricky Hatton is the last of a generation of British boxers who had to try and crack America. That's why he flew to Vegas to challenge Mayweather. In Kell Brook's early development at Matchroom, after he left Frank Warren, they sent him to America. Not break him into the American market, but let him adjust into it. They don't even send guys like Callum Smith over there no more. Lee Selby and Jamie McDonald, they went out there recently, Eddie Hearn fighters, but that's because the purses were good. That's the only reason they went out there, because the purses were good. Normally lower weight guys who can't get big purses. So Eddie will give them the option, you want to earn some money? We'll go out there and take the fight. It's financially more lucrative to you out there than it is here. So go and take it. I'm pretty confident that Canelo's not going to do better than Danny Jacobs against Triple G. I'm pretty confident of that. I believe Danny Jacobs is the better middleweight challenger to Triple G. Canelo is not a middleweight. He's never tested himself at middleweight. And if Triple G is victorious, are you going to tell me that the Canelo victory is better than Danny Jacobs? No, it's more financially lucrative and it will reverberate around the world more because Canelo is a bigger star than Danny Jacobs. It will bump up Triple G's resume because this is on the world stage. He's guaranteed at least 1.5 pay-per-views. At the least. That signals success for Triple G, K2 Promotions, Tom Loeffler, and Abe Sanchez. That's success. We're here now. We can take it from here once they get the victory. The one thing I haven't liked in the Wilder and Joshua debate is, people are kind of trying to undermine Joshua's success. We don't care about events, about big events and money. When without them Alabama nights for Wilder or them Oakland nights for Ward, where would they be? They'd have virtually nothing around the country. Terence Crawford in Omaha. Before AJ locked down Wembley Stadium with Klitschko, it was the O2 Arena and AJ. Sell it out all the time. David Hay, 3 times on the bounce, sold out the O2 Arena. South London boy. Boxing is about conquering territories. And I'm not saying there hasn't been good fighters who haven't conquered territories, but that's the objective. You want to conquer territories. You want to know when, for instance, like when Floyd says Cinco de Mayo. Oh, that's your shit now? You're not even Mexican. And you're running it now. That's success right there. Boxers are not colourless robots who just go in the ring and bash each other out. They're humans with personalities who have backgrounds and cities behind them and stories to tell. And people galvanise around that. Just like when Tottenham Hotspur closed their ground and they had the celebration, there was people crying and tearing up. That's the common denominator of a lot of people's lives, that football ground. Just like some of the boxers are in certain areas. Deontay Wilder is one of the oldest sporting franchises in Alabama. Like Terence Crawford. If he can win all 4 belts against Ndongo, because I don't think he's going to get the Pacquiao fight. Bob said he's obligated to get him, but what does he mean by that exactly? But if Crawford can take all the 4 belts against Ndongo, he'll be the first undisputed champion for how long? I can't remember the last one. He would have cut out a niche in contemporary boxing, and right now, he will be unique amongst his peers. Not saying it will net him the Pacquiao fight. But that's what boxers do. They carve out territories. You do what you've got to do. That's why Roy Jones challenged John Ruiz. Because he said, I wanted to do the Floyd thing and be undefeated. But when I couldn't do that after he got disqualified against Montel Griffiths, he moved up to fight John Ruiz. The first middleweight champion to beat a heavyweight champion since Bob Fitzsimmons, how much years back? In the early part of the 19th century. And here's the thing, man. A lot of you are my good friends, man. So let's talk like men. As real men, I know what it is. Yeah? Power is all consuming. Let's not go get too carried away about we just want to see the best boxing fight. If Wilder was to take out Fury and AJ, I'm sure some of you who just want to see Wilder and AJ for boxing reasons will be looking for Wilder to leverage his future ring negotiations to the best of his benefit too. Don't front. Don't lie. One of the first things you're going to say is, well, they did it to us. And yo, you're right. I don't blame you. Yeah, they did it to us. You're going to get a little back. Now, as long as he doesn't overdo it and he's no longer getting challenged, then maybe some of you will be genuinely dissatisfied. But the thing is, man, like, across where you guys are, you're the most powerful country in the world. You still are. And you can't show me one example, music, sports, art, where you have a chance to exert your power and you don't do it. Name this place, because I've been living on this earth a long time and I don't know it. When Japan did their little Pearl Harbor thing, America came back with Hiroshima. Okay, is that all you got? Boom! And that's why black athletes have been so successful, because you're not taking second place for nothing. At the negotiation table, like Sugar Ray Robinson, arguably amongst the experts as the greatest fighter ever, you're not taking second place in the negotiating table or in the ring, or on the track, or on the fucking field. Dominance. Because let's face it, what's the point of having power if you can't use it and abuse it a little? What's the point? The thing I don't really get, especially, and I know what it's about, really. You understand what I'm saying. You're just barking for your dog in the race, and that's Wilder. That's what it is, really. If he was all truthful, and there's nothing wrong with that. I get it. But, from talking to the people I know out in America, and if we're talking up close and personal, that's mostly black males who I've known, whether in real life or online. It's very territorial. Isn't it very territorial? East Coast, West Coast beef. The dirty South and running hip-hop. No, the East is still at it. No, the West. It's very territorial. So you can't really say you don't understand what I'm saying about domestic rivalry fueling the consumer's desire. And that's why Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren would want to take advantage of a Fury versus Joshua fight. Imagine if the fucking Wilder had the WBC belt and Mike Tyson had that WBA belt. And they were both undefeated right now. You wouldn't even be thinking about England. It would still be that little quaint country with the funny sounding voices. They you wouldn't even be thinking about us. You wouldn't even be thinking about us. You wouldn't give a fuck about Fury or Joshua or trying to get some of that English money or that English respect. You wouldn't be concerned. And maybe down the line, when the two English lads have cleaned up who's the best in England and the two American lads have cleaned up who's the best in America, then it's on and popping. Maybe then. Yeah, I remember the days when John L. Gardner got broke up by Dynamite. Fucked him up. Dokes fucked this kid up. But our heavyweights were terrible. Nobody was asking to fight no David Pearce from Wales. You see, I remember Lennox Lewis winning a lawsuit against Mike Tyson in '96 when Tyson didn't want to fight Lennox Lewis. Didn't want to fight him. Tyson was looking for big money fights against Holyfield. That's what he was looking for. Never mind that Riddick Bowe threw the belt away a few years before that not to face Lewis. Lewis had already beat Ray Mercer, Morrison's, Tony Tucker, Ruddock, Mike Weaver, Gary Mason, and had a good resume. But no one cared that Lewis deserved a title shot. No one cared. The American press didn't go that hard against Mike or Riddick Bowe. They went worse against Riddick Bowe than they did Mike. They didn't go that hard against Mike. And neither did the American public. Lewis collected step-aside money, right? So Mike could go fight Bruce Seldon for the IBF belt, no WBC belt, and Don King was still trying to keep the belt so Lennox couldn't fight for the vacant title. He was still trying to keep it. So, you know, one love to America, man. But miss me with that you don't exercise power shit. Miss me. It was Tyson who went on to get them 2 fights with Holyfield. And Holyfield was considered the real champ. No one gave a fuck about no Lennox Lewis. They used to critique him all the time in the American press. And he didn't get much love over here, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. One channel was trying to say that the Brits are cowardly and the Americans are so heroic. Get the fuck, come on, man. Get the fuck out of here. Everyone exerts power. And you tried to do that before when I used to go back and forth and you turn it into America and US. And all it's going to do is just cause fucking... And look, don't get me wrong. I think we should have some rivalry when Joshua takes on Klitschko, but not no dumbass rivalry. Not no soccer hooligan dumbass type of rivalry. You can support your guy, Brits can support their guy, and we'll still talk boxing on an intellectual level. Just like how me and Dream Chase Boxing chopped it up on Sunday. Simple. And don't you worry. Don't you worry. I know what some of the extreme English fans are like. I know what they're like. I know what they've been saying about Wilder. I know what they've been saying about the fight. And some of it is ridiculous. When Kelbrook was trying to get out of the Errol Spence fight, you can ask anyone on the Hangouts how appalled I was at the conduct. Oh, he doesn't need to fight him. So I'm aware of both sides. I'm hearing about videos where people are saying that the Joshua Klitschko fight was fixed and it wasn't a good fight and Joshua doesn't deserve this. I'm hearing a lot of crap. Extremism is extremism. Doesn't matter where it comes from. I tend to only share thoughts and ideas with those who not necessarily trying to be neutral and always in the middle, but I want to hear your synopsis based on some factual material, not some stupidness. I mean, there's one particular channel, I'm still waiting for him to come out and say, if we Yanks didn't step into the Second World War when we did, you Brits would still be eating Hitler's boots or something. You know, really crazy. You know, boxers do what they've got to do, man. And, you know, like, the most crazy argument is when people were telling me that Floyd should have fought Paul Williams before Ricky Hatton. Okay. Ricky Hatton was unbeaten, WBA champion, the biggest money fight Floyd has been in his career, but he should fight Paul Williams. And listen, you got to be a little truthful. How inspired would you be to wake out of your bed when I told you, well, you'll get more satisfaction shoveling shit for £2 an hour than doing it for £20 an hour? You're going to be wondering, why are you telling me this? I want to go for the £20 an hour, where you get more lunch breaks, better sickness benefit, and holiday pay. It doesn't really make sense. I don't get where you guys started arguing boxing like that. I'm trying to find a point of reference where boxers did that. If you could tell me where boxers took the lesser option, especially financially, if you can tell me where that started, then I might be able to get on board with it. But if you can't, it's some bullshit. If Floyd didn't take it, Pacquiao would have took it, Oscar De La Hoya would have took it, and then you would have heard Oscar De La Hoya when he's going over his memoirs. Yeah, I remember when Hatton brought them thousands and thousands of fans from England to Vegas. It was amazing. You know, in my opinion, Floyd fought enough quality opponents to earn his respect. He's not TB, he's not the best ever. He deserved everything he earned for his window maintenance, his defense, and his skill set. That's my opinion. He couldn't fight everybody, but he did enough. AJ can't fight Pulev, Ortiz, and Wilder, and Fury. Someone's going to get slighted, and someone's going to feel they missed out. Can't forget Klitschko. Power and territory. You know, like, I hear years back, Nas went to France, and he thought they were going to treat him like he got treated in other countries. And they treated him well, but not as well as he thought he was going to be treated. Why? Well, because French rappers go platinum. And they've got all that fly shit too. Nas is that dude, because we don't have no platinum selling artists out here, or gold. No one's selling no music like that. The grime artists, they're doing pretty well, because they've separated themselves from hip-hop. They're doing their own English-bred genre. So when you hear them talk, they're not like intimidated by American hip-hop. They're like, no, fuck that. They do hip-hop, we do grime. And they're more successful than the hip-hop artists were, the British, UK hip-hop artists. They're doing big budget videos, they're on the radio, they're on TV, doing lots of stuff, earning well. And that's what happens. That's why you hear AJ saying, well, what do I have to go over there for? And there's a big article in Boxing News I'm going to read later, breaking down why AJ doesn't need America right now. He doesn't need it. That's what happens. When your infrastructure becomes strong within itself, you get arrogant. No, we don't need you. I'm afraid that's how it is. Powerful people get a little arrogant. You know what I mean? That's what they do. Doesn't matter where they're from.